Sophie Cunningham just did what no one else in the WNBA dared to do. She fought back. After weeks of watching Caitlin Clark get shoved, scratched, and disrespected, Cunningham finally snapped, and the league erupted. She was ejected. Fans started petitions. Her jersey sold out overnight. But Sophie didn't apologize. She doubled down. And now, she's being called everything from a thug to a hero. This isn't just a foul, it's a statement. And the message is clear. Touch Caitlin and face the consequences. Strap in, because this is the moment the WNBA's villain era truly began.
Not sure if it was necessary, not sure if it was in total retaliation for what happened to Caitlin Clark earlier in the game, but it's exactly what they need to do. Let's play the clip, and this will take about a minute to get the whole thing in because there was a little bit of an aftermath, and I want you to hear the broadcaster's comments as well. Let's play that clip.
Olsen had it knocked away, good hands by Allen, and Sheldon comes up with the steal. Flutter going coast to coast, and here we go.
Sophie Cunningham wasn't brought to Indiana just to shoot threes. She was brought in to change the tone. And last night, that's exactly what she did. In a game that spiraled into chaos and crossed the line more than once, Sophie stepped up, not as a scorer or a role player, but as the team's enforcer. Let's be real. Last year, Caitlin Clark was getting battered on a nightly basis. Shoulder checks, hard fouls, flagrant hacks, and not a single Fever teammate did anything about it. Indiana played like a team that was too scared to clap back. Not anymore. This version of the Fever, with Sophie Cunningham in the lineup, isn't backing down from anyone. She saw her teammate getting disrespected, and she made a statement. One that the entire league heard loud and clear. Sophie didn't wait for the refs. She took matters into her own hands. Old school, ugly, necessary. It wasn't just retaliation, it was protection. It was a message. And yeah, it was a flagrant too. But it was also the first time this season the Fever looked like a team willing to go to war for each other. You can hate the method, but you better respect the motive. Because if you think Caitlin Clark can survive 10 plus years in the league without someone like Sophie watching her back, you have, not just with clips of the foul, but with a full-on petition to get Sophie Cunningham banned from the league. You'd think she'd respond with a Notes app apology or a PR-filtered tweet. Nope. Sophie shrugged. Literally. She posted a shrugging emoji to her Instagram story, and then did something even colder. She retweeted a post showing that her jerseys had sold out. That's right. While people were busy trying to cancel her, fans were out buying her merch like she just dropped 30 and a game winner. That's not just petty. That's iconic. This is how you respond when the hate comes in waves. Not with apologies, not with fake tears, but with receipts and sales data. Sophie didn't deny what happened. She embraced it. She leaned in and basically said, "You mad? Go cry in the team store while it's empty." She knows who she is. She's not trying to play nice. She's not trying to be loved. And that's exactly why Indiana needs her. The Fever have enough finesse. What they needed was someone who doesn't flinch. Not from contact, not from controversy, and definitely not from keyboard warriors. Sophie Cunningham just became the face of WNBA villainy, and she's smiling the whole way through it.
Here's Sophie Cunningham, the badass for the Indiana Fever, who is willing to fight.
Sure.
Which we are big fans of for Caitlin Clark. She was also a kicker in high school. Okay,
oh, wow.
For the brand. Obviously, the kicker is the biggest badass on the court. I love everything about it. Sophie, welcome to Indianapolis. Love that she was a kicker. That's a big ball, too. Hey, that's a good thought. Wow. That's a good kick right there. Obviously, she chose basketball, became a professional, but I love that she stepped foot on the field. The amount of courage it takes. She was a black belt in 6th grade or something.
Yeah.
If you're shocked that Sophie Cunningham put someone in a Muay Thai clinch during a WNBA game, then you clearly haven't done your homework. This woman has been built for chaos since childhood. You think she flinches when a fight breaks out? She was earning black belts while most kids were playing with Polly Pockets. She was a kicker in high school. She trained martial arts in Missouri. And now, she's a 6'1", walking smoke signal for anyone dumb enough to mess with her squad. That energy, that willingness to cross the line, it's not new. It's who she is. It's why the Fever signed her. When they brought her in during the offseason, some fans scratched their heads. But the real ones knew. This was the missing piece, the muscle. And what makes it all even more ridiculous. Sophie's not just an enforcer, she's a bucket too. She spaces the floor, plays real defense, and brings the kind of swagger that makes you want to suit up just to be around it. She's not in the W to make friends. She's here to protect her teammates, punish her enemies, and hit corner threes with the same composure she hits press interviews. You can't coach that. You just draft it and let her cook.
But I am sure that this takedown with 46 seconds left to go in a game that they were up 16, 17, 18 points, the game was over. And she's tackling someone on a layup. A little bit of it to me was provoked by play before, 20 seconds earlier. Sophie got knocked down and kind of re-aggravated her ankle injury, and so she was frustrated. But some of it was just like...
What Sophie Cunningham did in the final minute wasn't just a foul, it was a declaration. The Fever were already up by nearly 20 points with less than a minute to go. The game was over. But when JC Sheldon tried to make one last layup, Sophie snatched her midair and sent her straight to the hardwood. No hesitation, no mercy. Why? Because it wasn't about the scoreboard. It was about the culture. The Fever were tired of being treated like a team with no backbone. A squad that everyone could push around just because they had a rookie superstar. Sophie Cunningham ended that narrative in one moment. It wasn't clean, it wasn't classy, but it was necessary. Let's be honest, the WNBA has seen this before. All great offensive players need someone behind them willing to do the dirty work. Bill Laimbeer did it for Isaiah. Mahorn did it for Dumars. Now, Sophie's doing it for Caitlin. And with one play, she let every team know, try us again, and this is what you'll get. She didn't just protect Caitlin, she rewired the entire team's identity. The Fever are no longer a story about a lone scorer. They're a gang now.
It is, it's one of those things. Like, wasn't a basketball, it was a street. Jesus. To be fair, like, Sophie Cunningham was this close to like getting a referee stoppage in an MMA fight. So I mean, if it was not a basketball play, so you know what? Like, if another player did that, we'd be saying the same thing. So I actually don't have that. Where's the position to give her the keys to the city of Indianapolis?
What happens when you become the most hated woman in the league overnight? For most players, it would trigger a PR cleanup, a bland apology, maybe even a temporary disappearance from the spotlight. Not Sophie. She took the backlash and flipped it into free promo. The petition to have her removed from the league? She retweeted it and added a screenshot showing her jerseys had sold out. That's not just brushing off the hate, that's straight up weaponizing it. Sophie turned a suspension into a surge in popularity. She didn't just double down on her behavior, she monetized the moment. Whether you see her as a villain or a hero, one thing is clear. She knows exactly what she's doing. And in a league where drama is currency and viral moments matter, Sophie just cashed in. This is bigger than basketball. This is character branding in real time. Her response wasn't an accident. It was a strategy. While fans were arguing about whether she crossed the line, she was trending, selling merch, and going viral. And that's how you win in 2024.
Aaliyah Boston, the Indiana Fever's all-star center, is a pretty girl trapped in a 6'5" woman's body, in husky body. You know, Aaliyah Boston, just nice, godly, Christian. She's never going to be anybody's enforcer. They needed an enforcer on this team.
Here's the truth nobody wants to admit. The Fever needed Sophie Cunningham more than they needed another shooter or another ball handler. They needed someone with grit, someone who doesn't blink when things get dirty, someone who wants that smoke. Because here's the thing, Aaliyah Boston, she's a star, but she's not a fighter. Kelsey Mitchell, solid, but not an intimidator. Caitlin Clark, she's a generational scorer, but not someone who's going to swing back. Sophie is the punchback. Her addition wasn't about stats, it was about presence. When you have a player who sets the tone physically, emotionally, and vocally, that's contagious. The team plays harder, the bench gets louder, the fans lean in. She's not perfect, she's not polished, and she might get ejected again, but she's also the first line of defense when the other team starts throwing elbows. That matters, especially in a league where everyone's been trying to test the Fever all season long. Sometimes you don't need grace, you need grit. And that's what Sophie brings in buckets.
Sophie Cunningham the badass for the Indiana Fever, who is willing to fight.
Sure.
Which we are big fans of for Caitlin Clark. She was also a kicker in high school. Okay,
Oh, wow.
for the brand. Obviously, the kicker is the biggest badass on the court. I love everything about it. Sophie, welcome to Indianapolis. Love that she was a kicker. That's a big ball, too. Hey, that's a good thought. Wow. That's a good kick right there. Obviously, she chose basketball, became a professional, but I love that she stepped foot on the field. The amount of courage it takes. She was a black belt in 6th grade or something.
Yeah.
Long before she put on a Fever jersey, Sophie Cunningham had already earned her reputation, not just as a hooper, but as a fighter. Literally, black belt by grade school, high school kicker, enforcer by nature. So when fans and media ask, was her takedown of JC Sheldon excessive? They're asking the wrong question. It wasn't about escalation, it was instinct. You mess with her teammate, and she reverts to what she's always known. Protect your own and finish what others start. Sophie didn't become an enforcer when she joined Indiana. She was one before she even got here. And the Fever knew what they were getting. They didn't just bring in a body. They brought in a brawler with basketball IQ, edge, and emotional leadership. Her presence on the roster isn't random. It's surgical. She's not here to pad stats. She's here to absorb hits Caitlin can't afford to take and deliver ones the refs won't forget. That kind of role is rare. It's powerful. It's controversial. And it's needed. Every star needs a soldier. Caitlin Clark has one in Sophie Cunningham, and that should scare every front office in the WNBA.
As a whole, the moment they're having right now in Caitlin and kind of this new era, seemingly, of women's basketball.
I love it. I love competitiveness. I think it's great for the game. I think when people watch basketball and they think of basketball being physical, being competitive, being a little chippy, they think about us. But I think W is just as competitive and maybe even more chippy. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And for Caitlin Clark, I think it's great what she's done for the league.
Has it always been like that?
What?
Chippy.
Yes. W?
Okay.
NBA.
WNBA.
I think so. Because I look at, the history of,
Here's the twist in this whole saga. WNBA players have been going at each other like this for decades. The difference now? More eyes are watching. Old heads remember Candace Parker getting wrecked by vets in her rookie year. Maya Moore, Breanna Stewart, they all got tested. Sophie's scuffle with JC Sheldon? Just another entry in a long list of battles that shaped greatness. What makes this unique is the media microscope. The Caitlin Clark era brought millions of new fans into the W, but they weren't ready for the level of smoke that's always been there. So when Sophie yanked JC Sheldon mid-layup, it wasn't an outlier. It was business as usual, just finally caught in 4K. That doesn't mean it wasn't serious. That doesn't mean it didn't go too far. But let's stop pretending it's new. The truth is, this is what women's basketball looks like when it's treated like men's basketball. Physical, fiery, and full of emotion. And maybe that's exactly what the league needed. No hand-holding, no fake smiles. Just enforcers, vendettas, and rivalries. Sophie didn't break the mold. She reminded everyone what it's always looked like before the bandwagon ever pulled up.
That right there is a championship moment. That right there is a tone-setting moment. That right there is something the girls on.
There's no going back. She's embraced the villain role. She knows fans outside of Indiana can't stand her. She feeds on that. It's not just part of the game plan. It is the game plan. This isn't a redemption arc. It's a revolution. Every great team needs someone the crowd hates. Every dynasty needs a Dennis Rodman, a Draymond Green, a Laimbeer. Sophie is built from that same DNA. And what makes it even better, she's not just a goon. She can play. She's not just throwing hands. She's draining shots, setting hard screens, moving the ball. That's why the Fever are dangerous, because their enforcer is also a weapon. This isn't just about defending Caitlin Clark. It's about defending the Fever's future. And it starts with making sure everyone knows, from Vegas to Chicago, you don't touch 22 unless you're ready for war. So, what just happened? Let's break it down. Caitlin Clark got targeted, again. She took a cheap shot, or 3. And before the refs could do anything meaningful, Sophie Cunningham made a decision. She didn't wait for whistles. She didn't check the scoreboard. She sent a message the old school way, hard, loud, and unforgettable. And sure, it cost her an ejection, maybe a suspension, maybe even her image with some fans. But what she gained? Respect. From her teammates. From real hoopers. from anyone who's ever had to scrap their way through a game where nobody had their back, until someone finally did. This wasn't a meltdown, this was a power shift. A declaration that Indiana isn't soft, that Caitlin Clark is not alone, that the Fever won't fold. For too long, Clark's star power made her a target, but now she has an enforcer, someone who doesn't flinch, someone who doesn't just play the game, she protects it. You can hate it, you can write your angry think pieces, but the reality is, championship teams don't win by being liked, they win by being feared. And after what we saw, the rest of the league just got the memo. So the next time someone wants to get physical with Caitlin Clark, they'll have to look past Sophie first. And if they're smart, they won't. Thanks for watching. Let us know in the comments, was Sophie out of line, or did she do what the refs wouldn't? And more importantly, would you want her on your team? Subscribe, like, and we'll see you next time. Because this saga, it's far from over.